Hello, good morning, welcome. Why on earth is my hat absolutely ruined? There we go. That's looks like a massive dent in my head. Good morning, guys. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're happy and enjoying the international break as it continues to, I was going to say, bore us. There's some exciting stuff. Seeing Gavi play for the Spanish side yesterday evening was quite entertaining and enjoyable, considering he's now played more minutes, I think, in one game for the Spanish national side than he has done for both Barcelona and Barcelona B, which is quite incredible. But it's some interesting stuff going down over the international break, and of course England kicking off soon. Their first match in which we could see Ramsdale and Saka. Well, probably not Saka because he's still recovering from that injury that he suffered against Brighton. It's not a bad injury. He's still going to be expected to play during the break, but he's not fully involved yet. So he will probably not be involved massively, if anything, this week at the moment. But there is still good news for him. But good morning, everybody in the chat. To give you guys some shout outs. We've got Colin, Mike, Henrik, MFB, some usuals, FMP, Josh, GGTV for you, Daz, Tom, Rakim. Not seen you in the chat before, mate. Maybe you have been. Maybe you've been quite silent, but welcome. EKK, Olu, Milan joining us. Running with Skizzer has also joined us. Dan. Williams, JDB, also Gooner 72. So many more of you as well. Throw up some more mornings on the screen as we go through. And we'll kick off, as always, by telling you to like the video and subscribe to the channel and subscribe to the Arsenal Way, because there's quite a big show coming out on the Arsenal Way a little bit later on today. I had the absolute pleasure of sitting down with four-time Olympic gold medalist Mo Farah to have a chat about his Arsenal fandom, and that'll be up on the Arsenal Way around 4 p.m. I am well informed that that'll be going up there, so make sure you click the link in the description to the Arsenal Way, subscribe, turn those notifications on so you make sure you get that content. It was a really good chat with Mo. And why he's an Arsenal fan. We went into some serious stuff as well, like social media abuse and how you deal with that as a sportsman, and if that changes your view on things, and if his career as a sportsman has changed the way in which he views kind of the criticism of players, but also from a fan perspective as well. So make sure you check that out. It's a really good piece of info. And then on this channel, a little bit later on this evening, will be our next Let's Talk Arsenal Fans series, in which I'll be having a chat with CBS Sports journalist and former, of course, of Football.London and the Evening Standard, James Benge. I'll be able to sit down with James for 45 minutes to an hour, talking like I did with Lee Judges and Kevin Campbell about his kind of liking of Arsenal, his fandom, and also his job, and how he copes and deals with different stresses of being very much one of the four figures of the Arsenal fan base, specifically to do with transfers. So I'll be sitting down with James a little bit later on today for a really good chat with him as well. So look forward to bringing you more content on the channel as well. But we kick off today's news with the fact that Arsenal played a behind closed doors friendly against QPR, and they won 3-2. The likes of Ben White, Martinelli, Lacazette were very much involved. All of the players pretty much that was not on international duty. We're still waiting to get information about the goal scorers from the game. It's not typical that we have to wait this long. If you've seen anything about it on social media that I seemingly have missed, I couldn't find it. But Chris Wheatley also has not yet revealed that information, but did report it. So Arsenal winning a behind closed doors friendly against QPR 3-2. An interesting scoreline for sure. And I'm sure lots of the first team squad that weren't available because they're with their international sides would have certainly made a big difference. Arsenal's under 23s also played. And interestingly, Jack Wilshere was at the game wearing an England training jacket. Make of that what you will. Spotted in the crowd. Very, very intriguing. That obviously we've spotted playing against what I believe was Bournemouth. Of course, has his own links to Bournemouth. So there you go. It's an interesting one. Certainly one that will raise a few eyebrows, and I'm sure that you'll see a few stories falling out from this. But Jack Wilshere could be returned to Arsenal in a training capacity. I hope it's not for a full-time contract. I've kind of talked about that in a fair amount of detail before, and we've kind of gone through that. But if he's going to be training, absolutely, that's no problem whatsoever. So there you go. Now, one of the bigger pieces of news that dropped in more kind of general general terms was the possible or likely now and very much close Newcastle United Saudi takeover. It is for me anyway very much I'm not concerned about this yet. It's obviously a lot can still happen. Burnley were recently taken over, and not much has changed there. I know that this takeover is a lot richer, and so for that matter, it's for me, I think, something that we're going to have to stay very much patient with, because. Did I mean to say Arsenal top? Sorry, guys. Arsenal top for Jack Wilshere. Did I say England? I've got an obsession with England at the moment. Yeah, he's wearing an Arsenal top. Don't know why I said England. I was confused by the other badge in the background. So there you go. Arsenal top, very much so. Don't know why I said England. It's early in the morning. We do these shows way too early. But yeah, the Saudi Arabian possible takeover of Newcastle is something that I will certainly wait to give an opinion on until I can see any kind of impact and difference in the spending and stuff like that. I'm not going to lose my head about Newcastle becoming the next Manchester City or anything like that, because we still have to wait. Teams can have huge takeovers. Teams can have massive investors come into the team, as it doesn't always necessarily lead to guaranteed success. Will they be better? You'd think so, with the amount of players and the money that they could be able to spend. How much they end up spending, we will wait and see. But it's certainly a club that I like Newcastle. I hate the fact that the way they've been treated by Mike Ashley, but we always have kind of these moral discussions about kind of the human rights associations with certain takeovers and stuff like that, which obviously would change my view of the club if they were owned by anyone associated with human rights atrocities. I need to do more research into that and to find out what's going on behind the scenes there, to formulate any kind of true opinion on that side of things. But it's always going to concern Arsenal fans that when you see another club being taken over by a very rich owner, but certainly one that we will wait to see how it transpires and how it changes the landscape of the Premier League in the future. Now, Serge Aurier, obviously, I'm very upset about this. Serge Aurier said that he wouldn't have chosen Arsenal. And it really got to me. This did. Of course, it didn't get to me. We didn't want him. We didn't want Serge Aurier. Why would we want Serge Aurier? I mean, the guy's an Arsenal fan. First and foremost, he's an Arsenal fan. So anything that he's saying, it's just amusing at this stage. And we don't want you, fella. It's as simple as that. We never wanted you. We never considered buying you or taking you, because we've got a guy called Tomiyasu who's a lot better, quite frankly. So we never, the enemy, yes, the enemy as we were described. Unbelievable scenes, but ridiculous how we would even consider bringing in Sergio. It's barely even news. I just kind of wanted a laugh, to be honest. I need to be cheered up for that second. Kelechi tweeted a very interesting video with Wilfred Ndidi. Now, a conversation was on this video in which Wilfred Ndidi was questioned about coming to Arsenal. He said that you've already got Partey, and they said, and basically was said, we want you and Partey. Just like Essien and John Obi Mikel, he says. A Chelsea reference, sure, but obviously the Ghanaian and Nigerian connection there, what a connection that was, and some fantastic, something fantastic to think about, at least, and to think about. So if we ended up getting Wilfred Ndidi alongside Thomas Partey, that would certainly lock down the midfield, it's fair to say. So that was an interesting and amusing video to tune in for. And if you haven't watched it, go and have a watch. It's quite funny. So, yeah, I'm not saying it changes anything. It doesn't increase the likelihood of Ndidi coming to Arsenal. It's just a very funny, amusing piece of content to tune in for. That's for sure. And we do finish off the show today by talking a little bit about Takahiro Tomiyasu. Now, the reason why there is a possibility that he may not end up kind of starting for Arsenal as they return off the international break is basically due to fatigue. Now, shout out goes to Louis Chandler at Football.London, who reported this and first highlighted this, talking about the fact, I'll read you the part of the article where he says, Tomyasu has been excellent since arriving in the summer, but the Japan international will travel to Saudi Arabia and then to his home nation of Japan for the World Cup qualifiers and not returning until Wednesday, October 15th. Now, we do play Palace on the Monday, so you have, he returns Wednesday, you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to recover, but all of that travelling could, as Louis suggests, lead to the means of using someone like Cedric or Ainsley Maitland-Niles in the right back position instead, just because of the fatigue associated with all of that travel. And that's going to come with signing a Japanese international who's going to travel really all over the world during international breaks. It can be quite tiring to do that. However, what I would say is that Tomiyasu did play against Norwich from the start after 1.5 days training after returning once again from an international break. I think my opinion is that he'll still play. I still think he'll be starting. But I understand the theory. I understand the thought process that would go into suggesting that maybe he would be rested, given more time to recover. But considering that we've seen this idea that he could be traveling not hundreds of thousands, but thousands of miles around the world, it could be quite tiring. So I imagine he'll be fine. My prediction is that he'll be fine and that he'll start, but it's certainly something that you need to consider and to not get necessarily too annoyed about if he doesn't pop up on the starting lineup against Crystal Palace. There would be a good reasoning for that, and that could be why. My prediction is, though, he'll be fine. He will start, and I'll be putting him in my preview show team. That's for sure. I think that is our last story. Oh, no, it's not, because we haven't done our article of the day. Just to round off, 2 stories for you to check out. Link in the description to my homepage, my personal page on Football.London, where you can find all of the pieces that I am writing. And 2 of the last pieces that I wrote for Football.London are, one, about why Arsenal supporters have no sympathy for Barcelona's recent struggles and why, frankly, I could not be happier to see Barcelona falling and fall into their demise, quite frankly, which I'm more than happy to enjoy. A number of reasons I go into as to why I'm not fussed about Barcelona falling backwards or falling into the state that they are currently in. One of them being because we're pretty similar. We've fallen quite far, but I go into a number of others as well. So if you want to give that a read, please make sure you go and click the link in the description to my profile and it'll be on there. And the other one that was another very enjoyable one to write was calling out Danny Mills for the frankly idiotic statement that it was to say that Dominic Calvert-Lewin's move to Arsenal would be a sideways decision. Bearing in mind the fact that Everton last won a trophy in 1995 and since then Arsenal have won 19 honours, never finished above Arsenal in their entire period in the Premier League either. And even this season, Arsenal, despite not having any European football, are still in more competitions than Everton because they were knocked out by QPR on penalties. I think Mr. Mills is probably still reeling from that nutmeg from Thierry Henry all those years ago. I go into a lot of that and more in the piece to just really highlight how silly of a statement it was. So please do go and check it out. So there you go. Oh no, Ravi, you're very, very salty about the Barcelona thing. I'm sorry that I upset you. Anyway, let's move on to the final part of the show, which is, of course, getting your thoughts, your theories, your queries and questions into the chat box. So without further ado, let's do that. If you do have any questions, put them in there and we'll go through as many of them as we feasibly can. Benny says, I'd take Ndidi over Basuma right now. He is more of an accomplished and established Premier League player, you would say. Is he the right style of player to play next to Partey? That's certainly something. Kanda Soccer says, is Heung-min Son tired? Certainly a good point. Returns from his home nation of South Korea and playing there and travelling around the world, and he still plays. It's a very, very good point. Daz says, doesn't Tommy realise he's in my fantasy squad? He just needs a Red Bull. Unashamable advertising there from Daz. Food for the Soul says, did you watch Arsenal against Barcelona Women's Champions League bashing we received? Do you see any team beating Barcelona because they play like they don't? Well, they're not playing like Barcelona men's team right now. The Barcelona women's team, as have been, are excellent. And I mean, Arsenal's women's side have been amazing this season. and I believe have won all of their games. Can't think of any game they've lost. I think this might even be the first one of the season. They beat Spurs in the Cup as well. So it's just to think that Arsenal, who are quite far, looking like right now the best team in England, got battered by Barca, goes to show how the difference in quality between their side and Arsenal's right now. Obviously, it will be interesting to see. There should be a second leg, should there not? You assume the system's the same, but will be interesting to see. Will be interesting to see if we can get one over Barcelona at our place. But they are very, very good, it's fair to say. Yes, as we have talked about Newcastle, go rewind, and you can get my thoughts on that. Colin says, continuity, consistency, and confidence are the reasons why Tommy will play. I can't disagree with you. Fun Trick says, do you play Fantasy Premier League? I do. Link is in the description for our league if you would like to join. I'm not doing particularly well this year. I think I'm in the top 150 of our league, but there is about 500 odd people in there. So if you want to join the league and see where you're placed, then have a look. Let's go to Nishad, who says, maybe silly, but any chance a loan for Martinelli may do him good? I know that would leave us short an attacking cover, but he would likely benefit with consistent game time, especially post-injury. I think that it would depend upon who leaves in January. If you lose either one of Lacazette or Nketiah, that leaves you slightly lighter. I mean, we could be in a situation where we're one injury away from Martinelli being either starting or the first sub off the bench in that position. So I'm not, whilst I agree with you that I think a loan would be beneficial for him personally, it might not be for the club, and we may need him to stick around and still be here. I do see a lot of your comments relating to the unnamed Brighton player. I'm not going to be discussing that because it's still yet to be confirmed, and I'm not going to speculate about something so serious. So until there's more information that comes out about that, I'm not going to be addressing it. So you can save your questions on that for when any news on that is officially confirmed. Vincent says, indeed, he suits Arsenal perfectly, Tom. He will sit deep and allow Partey to move further forward. But that may mean that Partey ends up shooting quite a bit. So there's, swings and roundabouts is what I would say to the idea of pushing him further forwards. Yes, Gooner, you raise a good point. Martinelli will be used in the African Cup, will be used when those players like Pepe and Aubameyang go off to the African Cup of Nations. It's a very, very solid point. Dan says, could the Newcastle takeover be another dangerous stepping stone towards the pay-to-win football? I mean, arguably, it's already a pay-to-win situation. And so for that, it's only going to add another one to the mix. Man City, Chelsea, Man United have all been clubs that have spent far more than they should have been able to get to where they are. So it's, for me anyway, we'll just see how it happens. You can't prejudge. We don't know. Burnley have just been taken over, and I mean, they signed Max Cornet, and that was about it during the window. So it's not suggesting that they will all of a sudden explode and shoot up the league. We'll wait and see. Nikolai says, what do you think about the 18-team Premier League idea? I think it's ridiculous. I think it undermines the achievements of those teams that push up from the Championship and from all the different levels below it and get into the Premier League. It would lessen the number of games that are in the Premier League as well, which is another ridiculous thought, that at the moment the Premier League is a very testing 38-game system. If you drop it, I mean, you're losing games in the Premier League, which is never good. And those teams that are in the league that you'd have to kick out have earned their right to be there. So I think it's an absolutely ridiculous suggestion. Let's go down a little bit more. Russell says, when everyone has rich owners, what then? What is the next level? I know, it's like that famous quote from The Incredibles of when everybody's super, no one will be. It's pretty much like that, isn't it? If everyone has hugely rich owners, then how will it change anything? That's what you would have to say. Yeah, Little Wing. Football is pay to win already. So what changes? I don't know what changes. It's as simple as that, really. Let's scroll up a little bit more. Rafinha, says Olu, plays in the early hours of Friday from Brazil, and he will play for Leeds on Saturday, less than 36 hours later, according to reports. We playing on Monday, so Tomyasu will likely start. As I say, that's my prediction. I do think he will. It was just pointing out something that was raised as a different point of view. Let's go for Malik, who says, I'm a Gooner from Saudi Arabia. The takeover is going to make Newcastle similar or not to better than Man City sooner or later. Take it like a rivalry they want to dominate. As I say, we will wait and see as to how they end up spending when this takeover officially goes through. I think we are going to be very close to wrapping things up there. As I say, there is going to be a couple of shows for you coming out. Chat with Mo Farah over on the Arsenal Way will be out at 4 p.m. UK time. So make sure you've subscribed. Link is in the description to the Arsenal Way. And of course, a little bit later on today on this very channel, I'll be having a chat with James Benge from CBS Sports in our next episode of Let's Talk Arsenal Fans. So thank you ever so much for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate all of you that have tuned in. Oh, very quickly. JDB says, Tom, silly, but I need to use your memory. Who would win if Arsenal's 2014-15 at their best or 2021-22 Arsenal at their best? Different managers, styles, players, only similar kits and socks. It's an interesting question. Of course, you're thinking back to the team of Santi Cazorla, Ozil, Alexis Sanchez, Olivier Giroud. You know, it's interesting. I think maybe I think the 2014-15 team would probably win. Only because they have a more experienced coach. They've been playing together a lot longer. And I think that the Arsenal team right now is still very much in project mode. So it's a really interesting question, JDB. But I think the 2014-15 one with the players like Alexis Sanchez would probably win that game. But it's a great question and certainly one worth asking. So thank you. Let's wrap things up there. Please do drop a like on today's video and subscribe to the channel if you are indeed new around here with those notifications turned on so you never miss a show. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can by joining up as a member and then joining our Discord server if you do choose to be an expert member or a TGT ambassador. Constant conversations going on there and a great community. Our members will attest and let you know that in the chat box. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. See you this afternoon for the James Benge Show. But other than that, oh, that's quite nice. The James Benge Show. I bet you'd love that. We'll see you soon, guys. Have a great day. And as always, up the arse.